Let's go back to you, Chris, now, right there on the site.
Yeah, Mary, we're now looking at live pictures inside a portion of the museum where those two artifacts that we highlighted earlier, the portion of the Bible, the Matthew scripture that is fused from the Bible, that is fused into a piece of steel from the World Trade Center. You see Pope Francis being guided to that direction right now. Also, the cross that we showed you. Those are the two artifacts that the Pope is going to just take a closer look at. This was a little bit of an alteration to his schedule, but well worth it, as we've been telling you this morning. And I would think, Father Mike, that the Pope would agree after he sees these two artifacts.
You know, one of the things the Pope has spoken about a lot, about what ministers, priests, rabbis, imams could do, is to realize they must bind the wounds of those who are hurt. He always uses this image of the church, particularly, as a field hospital, a little like a MASH unit, dealing with the wounds and hurts of people. And here we see something that's quite remarkable, and seeing, and I think it's touched him as well.
I think the quote was a field hospital after battle, but this is just a amazing artifact recovered from ground zero. This portion of this Bible, open to an eye for an eye passage in Matthew, fused into this piece of hardened steel. Been authenticated. It almost doesn't seem believable, but it has been authenticated, of course. And now the steel cross, you can see the Pope making his way towards the steel cross that was prominently displayed in this portion of the museum. It really is emotional when you see so many people there, such a huge cross-section. Some of the first responder families, the dignitaries that were there. It was beautiful. It was brief, but a beautiful ceremony, both outside and inside.
Sure. And here is Cardinal Dolan describing this for Pope Francis.
This was a beacon for so many that were working on the pit in the days and months following 9/11. Almost a kind of a rallying cry to see something like that kept in its original state when it was recovered, and now on display at this museum. It's very impactful for any of the people that make their way down here to Lower Manhattan to visit. And now it looks as though that the Cardinal is showing the Holy Father some other artifacts that are there as well. It is one of those things, you can't just walk in and see a few things. You get caught up in the moment, and you get caught up in the history of that day. It's a beautifully done museum and memorial, and it's tough to not be enraptured with the stories of heroism that are featured in this portion of the museum.
Tell us more about the cross that was salvaged from the destruction.
It was salvaged from the destruction in the state that you see it there. It wasn't cut metal or anything of those of that nature. It was brought out from the pit, and as I said, it was almost kind of a temporary house of worship on site.
Yeah.
And then there was a Star of David. There was the Twin Towers at the time were also welded out of part of the cross too, that were on display there as well. So it was again an interfaith type of rallying point down at ground zero. There you see, center of your screen, the cross of ground zero. And again, taking more live pictures from Foundation Hall, where the Pope has just presided over about a 35-minute interfaith ceremony there that really kind of called to people to get along with one another. He really drove home the position of peace and again, living with one another in this community. And being able to put your differences aside and live together in harmony.
Well, in his recent encyclical, he talks about integral ecology, how we must create a world, a fabric, a community, and we must be endearing to one another to make the body of the community and the society grow.
In talking about these acts of destruction during his speech, he said it's never impersonal or abstract. He said, terror like this has a face, a concrete, it's got names, and it really, I think, puts an identity stamp on this. It's not, as he mentioned, just an impersonal type of event. to see these people and to meet with the families of the first responders, it's impactful. He said the tears still flow for them. That he sees the pain on their faces, that still touches them and cries out to heaven, which is a direct quote from the Pope in his speech. Well, as we wrap things up here down at the 9/11 Museum and Memorial, the Pope will then be making his way. He's got the rest of the day ahead of him, Father Mike. And again, we talk about this schedule. He's already had two very heavy events. Speaking to the General Assembly this morning, spent a number of hours down at the UN. He will be here for over an hour. Again, this is a more of a somber, very kind of heavily weighted event. But he's also going to make his way to the Our Lady Queen of Angels School in East Harlem today. He's got the procession through Central Park, and then, of course, Mass at Madison Square Garden later tonight. This is an active day. Luckily, the Pope will get about a 3-hour break or 2.5-hour break to grab some lunch and hopefully catch a little nap. Let's go to